The best-known image of the dung beetle is the one that rolls its ball of dung to a hiding place where it lays its eggs. But these little ones are also dung beetles. Along with the dung ball rollers, there are the dwellers that move into a dung pile and set up housekeeping.
There's also a third group called the tunnelers, and they dig tunnels underneath cow paths and produce little brood chambers in these tunnels. So they're very different types of dung beetles that we can find all across the globe.
Patrick Rohner is a professor in the Department of Ecology, Behavior, and Evolution at UC San Diego. Dung beetles are his specialty, and he says there are over 5,000 different species of them. A dung beetle's occupation is pretty simple, but their ecological role is not always understood. One thing is very clear: for the environment, dung beetles are a great cleanup crew.
For one, they physically remove cow dung from the surface of the soil into the soil, thereby making all of these nutrients accessible to plants and other organisms. But they also aerate the soil because they often produce these tunnels.
Rohner says he became interested in dung beetles as a scientist because there are few creatures that adapt so readily to their environment. Biologists say they have a high level of plasticity. For instance, their level of nutrition determines whether males will grow these big long horns seen on the left that they use for fighting as they compete for mates. Environmental factors can determine their shape and their size.
They can look drastically different, even though they are genetically identical. So that is an example where the environment has a really strong impact on the way an organism looks and how it behaves.
There are native California dung beetles, but there are a lot of foreign species that were brought to the U.S. to solve what was perceived to be a shortage of them. Their purpose was to correct the damage cattle farming was doing to land that cows used as pasture.
There are many species that were introduced on purpose by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in the 1960s, and that is because dung beetles are very beneficial for cow pastures. And the USDA on purpose introduced them from other places, including Southern Africa and Europe.
Whether being raised in brood tunnels or getting one of those big dung balls, each beetle egg gets one ball, new beetle larvae are supplied with plenty of poop. And we at the top of the food chain can appreciate their job well done. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.